Welcome. It is your chance to get your pickleball questions answered live. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's CJ Johnson from Better Pickleball, and I'm just trying to make sure that we've got our stream going. It looks like everything is working here. So there's a chat. I'm going to try and pay attention to the chat. Sometimes this is a little hard to do myself, but I do have a chat down here, and you can put your questions in the chat. And I know that some of you also sent in some questions earlier today, and so I've got a few of those questions for you. But it seems like there's always questions about pickleball, and one of the things I love about answering questions is there's so many people at a lot of different levels. This is a sport that is growing leaps and bounds. There's a lot of people that are playing, and it's just fun. As I ran into somebody I haven't seen in a while. He's been gone. I live in northern Lake Tahoe, north side of Lake Tahoe, and he's been gone for the winter. He's been in Florida playing pickleball, and he said, "Gosh, I haven't seen you since I've been back. I've been back a couple of weeks." And his comment to me was, "Well, you know how pickleball is. It is addictive." And you're right. It's addictive. So, by the way, if you want to know whenever I do go live, I usually send out an email to everyone who wants the insider information from Better Pickleball. So I'm going to put a link down in the show notes below, and you can, if you're not on that email list, you can sign up. I promise I don't spam, don't sell your email, that sort of thing. You can sign up for that, and I'll make sure to get you on that list. And I do not see my chat coming through, so just give me one moment here. Can someone say hello to me in the chat? I know that there's a couple people watching, so just say hello in the chat so that I can actually see that it's working. There we go. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Oh, I can't type and do this at the same time. I'll try. I'll type very shortly. So, but that's okay. You're being very patient. I appreciate you letting me get my technology going, because when you're the only person who's running it, sometimes it's not always the easiest to do. With that, let's jump in. And this is from somebody, this first question is from somebody who is a relatively new player named Mike. So let me put it up on the screen for you. Hey, Janet. Okay, now I see some of the chat coming through. Perfect. Glad you're there. So Mike writes, "Everything I read suggests that you should move up to the kitchen as quickly as possible. But I find that when partners move up together, we get caught with a lob that we can't get to. Should one of the partners stay back to cover for a lob?" It's a great question, Mike. And I'm going to guess, based on that question, Mike is still probably relatively new to the game. And our games change as we evolve our skills. So yes, Mike, you are right. The game really is played from the kitchen line. And the reason that we want to get to the kitchen line is we shorten the distance between ourselves and our opponents. When we shorten that distance, if me and my partner are at the kitchen line, and Mike, you and your partner are at the back, you have less time to react to a shot. So that's why we want to try to get to the kitchen line. We're controlling the point, and we're taking away our opposition's time. When you're moving forward, you bring up a great point in your question. When the two of us are moving forward at the same time, now hopefully you're moving together. I kind of tell people who are new to the game, think like you have a bungee cord between the two of you. If one player goes this way, the other one goes this way, or when we're going back and forward, we want to be together with each other as we move up. When you're moving up to the line, you are together. So that's a really good point. But what do you do when that lob goes over your head? So I'm thinking that you're talking about an offensive lob. That person is at the kitchen, and instead of hitting a dink, they hit a lob. No, you shouldn't stay back to defend the lob. What you should learn how to do is learn how to hit overheads and lobs. Whenever one person is back here at the baseline and the other person is forward, you have this big gap in between you, and you open up the court and you allow your opponents a variety of angles to get in between you. When the two of you are together, whether it's up at the non-volley zone or back at the baseline, you eliminate some of those angles. So that's why, yes, we want to move to the line and we want to stay together. Learning to read a lob, number one, is super important. So one of the top tips that I give to people is when you're at the line or when you're coming to the line, what are you watching? What are you looking at? Are you looking at that person's paddle? Because what you'll notice, in order to hit a lob, right, think of the trajectory of the ball, goes up, it kind of goes like a U. So the paddle face has to be very open. It probably starts out like a dink shot, and then it goes up and over someone's head. So by watching a paddle face, many times you can see when a lob is coming, and you can actually get a jump on that lob. You're going to anticipate it just a little bit better. The other point that you'll need to learn how to do is, what do you do when you return it? Sometimes you can take that ball over the head because it's a very short lob, maybe to the middle of the court, and you can take that ball out of the air and do an overhead with it. Other times, somebody hits a really great lob and it's back towards the baseline. You may need to allow that ball to bounce and then to put the ball back in play. So those are all kind of getting into really complex type of things. So here's what I recommend that you do, Mike. You're doing it correctly. What you really need to learn is just to improve some of those overheads and to understand a little bit more about defending against the lob. I have a whole series on this channel, and I'll put a link down in the notes below, both on overheads as well as defending the lob, determining whose shot it is, and how and why you should run back for it. So it can get a little bit in detail, but I'm going to suggest that you're doing the right things. You're moving up to the kitchen line. Don't quit doing that. Just learn how to hit the lob and learn how to defend against the lob a little bit better. I said learn how to hit the lob. Learn how to hit the overhead and defend against the lob. So, okie dokie. All right, cool. Got that one. So, if anyone has anything to add in there, please go ahead and put it down in the chat as well, but I'll put that in this series later. So let's go ahead. We're going to get to number 2. I know James is here tonight. Hey, James, shout out. I know you sent me a question and it's actually included in here. I'm not sure if it's the next one or not. I hope that everybody is having a great night tonight. Lots of, excuse me, familiar faces. I am getting over just the nastiest cold and bronchitis and things like that, so I'm definitely doing just a little bit of coughing, and I'm going to apologize for that right now. But let's go ahead and get on to the next question. All right, let me bring it up here on the screen. There we go. Yes, I think, James, I think this is your question. I'm getting really good at returning those shots that are cross-court, excuse me, and going out of bounds. I can bring them back in, but most of the time that puts me out of position and puts them in a position for the kill shot. I know one way is to get my partner to move over, but we play pickup games. So I'm looking for a way that I can bring the ball back in without giving up the point. And I think Jim is how he signed the email. I think you're actually on tonight. So congratulations that you're getting better at returning that shot. So I'm guessing the way that this was written, I'm getting really good at returning shots that are cross-court and going out of bounds. So it's probably a very sharply hit cross-court shot, and it's pulling you way off the court. So you get it back, but you're so far off the court that you can't defend, and because your partner doesn't always know to move with you, remember I just talked about that, if we're like this, we're going to move together. So if my partner is going way over here, I need to move over with my partner and defend a greater space, especially if that partner has been pulled way off the court. Excuse me. And that partner doesn't really know how to do that. So a couple of suggestions on how you can do that. One of the things that I found when I'm playing pickup games is just to have conversations and very general conversations with partners while I'm doing this. And one way to do that is if you know that somebody you're playing with, one of your opponents, hits that cross-court shot pretty often and that you've got a really good chance of getting at, you could say something like, hey CJ, I know that Mary tends to hit this really sharp cross-court shot and I can get it back in, but it puts me in a really bad position. So if I have to go out wide, can you move over more towards the center and be prepared to defend some of the court until I'm able to get back in? So that's one of the things that I do a lot with people is I will kind of tell them maybe what's going on. This person likes to do this, or this person has a particularly poor backhand. So when I'm on this side of the court, I love to hit to their backhand. I love to hit the downline shot. And what they tend to do with it is they tend to pop it up to the middle. But because I'm on that side of the court, you're going to need to be prepared to take it. Can you do that? And somebody, oh yeah, I can do that. So the first thing that I would say there, James, is number one, communicate. So if you know somebody hits that shot a lot and you're capable of getting it, just tell your pickup partner that you can do it. That's number one. The second thing is, and this comes up, this is, I guess, probably the bigger picture, because we do play a lot of pickup games, right? So we're not necessarily playing with the same partner each and every time. Is what do you do during a pickup game? Right? I mean, how can you move with that person? So you might need to change your shot approach just a little bit. If they can't move with you, I mean, if you can't talk them into moving with you, how can you change your shot a little bit? And my guess is, and again, I'm just guessing because I don't necessarily have enough information from your question, is that cross-court shot is probably coming pretty hard. It's coming cross-court and it's probably coming pretty hard. And generally, most of us are going to return a hard shot with a hard shot. Softening the ball is a more advanced skill, and sometimes that's really hard to do when you're on the run, right? I mean, you're just trying to get the ball back in, so sometimes it's really hard to soften it. So a suggestion that I might make on that cross-court shot is this, is what if you softened it and perhaps tried hitting a lob? Hit it high and hit it over their heads so that they have to back up, and that actually will buy you more time to get back into the court. Because if you're on the defensive, and I'm guessing from the way this is written, you are on the defensive, and you hit a shot hard, you've done yourself no service. You are taking away your time. Because you've hit it hard back to them, and now, as you said, they're in position for the kill shot. So what I would do there is, can you soften that shot? Might be really hard to hit a drop shot off of there. Again, super advanced skill, but it's worth starting to try, right? And like you said, you're playing pickup games, so yeah, I know that we want to win, but it's great sometimes. That's the only time that somebody gets a chance to practice. But the shot that I really like is when I'm out of position, I'm being pulled off the court, I like to open up the face of the paddle to loft that ball up in the air and to try and hit a lob that's from about the middle of the court somewhere to the baseline. That's really kind of my target. Hit it soft, hit it super high, give myself enough time to get back with my partner and play some defense. So those would be the two recommendations I have. And since you're on the line, did I answer the question? Did I understand it correctly? And did I give you an answer that you can work with? Okay. He says, great. He says, great response. I will try the lob. Thanks. Yeah, that's the big thing, is soften it. And here's the other thing that I like to think about a lot is my grip pressure. And I've talked about this in some videos. And the tighter my grip pressure is, the bigger the tendency that I have to hit the ball harder. So it's really easy to get a tight grip pressure when you are under pressure, right? Because you're trying to move and you're trying to get this ball back. And it's hard to hit a lob with tight grip pressure. I find it's much more effective when your grip pressure is light. So as you're moving, just kind of feel light or a lack of tension in the forearm, and that should help that lob to go in. But I am going to tell you, it takes some practice, but don't give up on that shot. All right. Cool. Sheila likes that response too, and she's going to give it a try. Give it a try. That's one of my favorite shots. I'm actually pretty good at hitting that shot. And it's kind of fun because you know what? People don't expect it. They're kind of expecting that drive to come back really hard at them. So when you hit this soft lob, they're like, oh, it's over my head. I got to go, right? So anyway, yeah. Cool. Let's see. There's a question in there that says, what are the greatest suggestions to pickleball with an electric wheelchair? Want to learn it all. Wow. I don't know. I really have no idea. I have not done pickleball, and I know that there's some players who play regular pickleball with a non-electric wheelchair. And obviously now there's somebody who plays with an electric wheelchair. I don't know, but what I can do, and let's see, that's coming from Dr. Diana. Hello, Dr. Diana. What I can do is I can do some research and I can find out. And I'm going to ask the community if you know some resources for pickleball in a wheelchair, whether it's electric or non-electric. Can you put those into the comments of this video? And I will do some research and see what we can come up with. Because yes, everybody should be playing pickleball. Everyone should be playing pickleball. All right. Okay. If you have some questions, make sure that you put it in the chat down below. I will try and get to it, but we've got a couple more that were sent in. So let me, excuse me, let me go to this next one. I'm going to stop 1 second and take a drink of my soda while you can start to read it. All right. I'm in my early 60s and new to pickleball about 7 months. Lately, I see a lot of players sidelined with injury. I'm totally addicted to this game and can't imagine not being able to play. What can I do to avoid getting injured? Oh, Sherry, you're right in my wheelhouse. And if you spend any amount of time on this channel, you know that not only do I talk about pickleball technique, but one of the things that's very near and dear to my heart is staying healthy and fit so we can stay out on the courts longer. So there are many, many resources. Look in the playlist section of this channel. I have resources on foot injury, on warm-ups, on stretching afterwards. We talked about overheads a little bit earlier on making sure that you're turning and you're in the correct position to hit an overhead. How many people get hurt trying to backpedal and they fall down, slam their head, or break a wrist, you know, put a hand out to break their fall. So there's a lot of resources on this channel already to help you. But here are really kind of my top three. So number one, weight. Maintain a healthy weight. Now, yes, it does get a little harder as we age because couple of things happen. Our caloric needs are reduced. So we don't need to eat as much as we used to at one point in time, but most of us don't actually change how we eat. We kind of keep eating, or we like to have that glass of wine, or you all know because you go out after pickleball, right? And you've played for 3 hours, but you sit down and now you eat 3,000 calories because you're eating all this junk food and drinking a couple beers. And it's great and it's fun to do that, but for every 10 pounds additional beyond your ideal weight, you put immense stress on your joints. And chances are you're not getting to 60, you're not getting to 50, you're probably not getting to 40 without some type of injury already. So we have already stressed joints, and then we don't maintain our weight, so we put more stress on those joints. So really number one is a healthy weight. And not only on this channel, but on my blog. And again, if you are not getting my regular emails or getting my blog posts, make sure that you click a link below and you can sign up for that. Excuse me. Sign up for that. And I will, I send those out in email about once a week or so. I haven't been so consistent lately. There's been a lot going on for me in my life, so I apologize for that. But I send out information to help you to get fit and maintain weight. I used to weigh over 250 pounds, so I understand what it's like to battle with weight. I've kept that off now for 15 I think going on 15 years. And so I've learned a lot of things along the way, and it definitely changes once you get past 50. So weight is number one. Second thing is stretching before and after. And again, there's videos on this channel. I think the one is called 5 minutes, and I'm holding my hand up like this. Just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to better pickleball. And it's all about a little stretching routine that you can do beforehand, and then as well as stretching afterwards. Because again, as we age, our muscles and our tendons change, and we tend to get a little stiffer. So we need to do some regular stretching both before and after pickleball. And that doesn't mean that you have to go to yoga classes. Great if you do, but you don't have to. And you don't have to spend hours stretching. Great if you do, but you don't have to. 5 to 10 minutes beforehand, 5 to 10 minutes afterwards will help your body to maintain soft muscles and to decrease some of your chance of injury. Another big thing I want to share is that when we stretch beforehand, we want to make sure that we're using dynamic stretching, which is actually stretching while we're moving. So a difference between a dynamic stretch and a static stretch is a static stretch is bending over and stretching your legs and just holding it, right? Bending over, touching your toes to the floor. A dynamic stretch would be standing up tall and rotating your hip in a circle to stretch out your hip. So that's a dynamic stretch. And I go over that inside of the video. So stretching before as well as stretching afterwards. And then number three, third biggest thing is this, overuse injuries. There are some great videos. If you're having any foot problems, you know I've had Dr. Pickleball on a couple of times, Alan Rosenthal, and he is a doctor of podiatric medicine. In fact, he just did a big presentation on pickleball injuries to his colleagues, and because they're getting more and more rampant. So here's this huge conference, and he's presenting on pickleball injuries because people are walking into the office and saying, I'm getting this injury from pickleball, and doctors are seeing them more and more. Many times those injuries are overuse injuries, meaning we are putting stress on the joints because of the repetitive motion of pickleball. So sometimes I see people go out and they don't do any stretching, they're not ready to go, and they play for 3 and 4 hours, and they do that 5 and 6 days a week. Well, if you're doing that chance and you're not in great shape, even if you are in great shape, you might be looking for an injury. But if you're not in great shape and you're doing it that often, chances are you're looking for an injury. So pace yourself. Okay, you don't have to learn pickleball all in one afternoon. That's kind of the biggest thing. You don't need to learn it all in one afternoon. Just go ahead and set your time and maybe only play for an hour or 2 hours or X amount of games, but make sure that you go ahead and you pace yourself. So those are my 3 biggest tips: weight, stretching, and overuse. Watch the overuse injuries. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go look back here for just a second. Let me look back at the questions. Okay, Janet says the USAPA website has a para-wheelchair page, all with the rules for wheelchair play according to the ADA, and enjoy, as everyone should. So there's a good start. We'll continue to look for that, but thank you so much, Janet. I appreciate you putting up that post. All right, if you have any questions, post it, because I have one more pre-done question here. Somebody wrote in, and I am going to tell you, if your question didn't come up, I picked out 4 of them. I intentionally actually don't have any rules questions in here, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to bring on a certified referee. As you know, I've had Mark Pfeiffer on the channel before, and now Andrea M. has become a certified referee. So I have been thinking about this because I get a lot of questions on the rules. So I am going to bring on a certified referee to answer some of those questions, just so I don't give you the incorrect information. And besides, you get to see somebody else then too. So that's a great thing. And they're great people. Then I get to spend some time with them. And so it's all a good thing. So I am going to do that show hopefully very shortly. I've actually already reached out to one of them. And so hopefully within the next week or 2. So if you do have rules questions, feel free to send those to me at cj@betterpickleball.com. And I will make them part of that show. So let's go ahead and let's get to our fourth question here. Mel asks, what is your number one suggestion to help a player improve? Wow. Hang on one second. My soda stream was working and my throat is not. For me, I have to say, I think this goes along every level. I think it's all about consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. I play a fair amount of pickleball, but I also am a student in the game. I watch a lot of pickleball, and I watch different levels of pickleball. So when I am on YouTube, I'm not only watching 5-0 players, I will watch 4-5 players. I'll watch 4-0 players. Every once in a while, you'll see some 3-5 matches or some 3-0 matches up online as well. And one of the things that I not only see on the internet, but I see inside of my clubs and I see when I work with people is consistency. And one of the things that can help you, if you don't already have this, and I'll put a link below, is I have a pickleball shot inventory. And the reason I developed that inventory is when I was working with a person on their pickleball game, I wanted to know what they thought were their weaknesses. And if, as an example, if they had 10 shots, what could they do with with those 10 different forehands? What was going to happen to them? Because players, as an example, let's talk about forehands. When is it just in, or is it causing problems for the returning team? If you're returning a serve, is your shot in? Is it in where you want it to be? Is it into that person's weakness? Are you hitting it so that they have a difficult time hitting an effective third shot? Those are all different levels. Consistency means, yeah, I can get it in, right? But what actually are you doing with it? So one of the things is, between all the levels, it's definitely consistency, making sure that you can execute that shot time and time again. And I think one of the places where you really see a different consistency is, consistency in terms of patience and third shots. Because you know what? Anyone can hit a winner. Beginners hit winners, right? I mean, how many times have you been with a beginner who's maybe held a pickleball paddle for 10 minutes and all of a sudden, boom, they whiz one right by you? Great. Kudos to them. But chances are, if they just started playing 10 minutes ago and you've been playing any length of time, you're going to be better at it than they are, because you have learned to be more consistent. You're just not going to hit as many balls out. You're not going to make as many mistakes and as many errors. That pickleball inventory is something that I said I use with my students. And that kind of helps us to be on the same page, but it also gives them a really good look to say, what are the weaknesses of my game? And when I go out and practice, because we all have limited time, what exactly should I be practicing? And what should I be doing? So that would be my number one suggestion to help a player to improve, is get more consistent. And by the way, if you don't already have it, I know a lot of you have that pickleball inventory. If you don't already have it, I'll put a link down below. I've got a lot of links. I'm going to have to remember to write those down. I'll have to go back and look at this. I'll put a link down below, and you can click and you can get that pickleball inventory. And that will help you. So if you've got any more questions, go ahead and put them down. Otherwise, let's see. Excuse me. As I said, it has been a really interesting winter for me. As many of you know, I teach a lot of skiing. I will apologize to you. Thank you for coming and being here tonight. I haven't been as consistent with the videos as I normally am. There's been a lot of things that have gone on this winter. We've had 50 feet, and I'm not saying that incorrectly. That's not misspoken. We've had 50 feet of snow where I live, and I teach skiing in the wintertime, so it has been an interesting winter from that standpoint. And I took a really really good fall back in January. I've managed to only miss a couple weeks of skiing, but in large part it's because in a ski boot your leg just doesn't move at all, but on a pickleball court you've got to shuffle right to left, and it has been really tough to be on a pickleball court. In fact, I haven't gotten to play near as much as I would like to. I've been able to do some coaching, but that's really kind of the extent of it. And of course you can hear my voice now. So it's been a super interesting winter. So I apologize for not being as consistent, but spring is kind of right around the corner, although I am going to be skiing until July. But now is the time of year where I really enjoy playing a little bit more pickleball. And I hope to be coming back at you every week, which again, if you have some questions about pickleball, you don't have to wait for one of these live questions. I get questions all the time, and sometimes I turn those into videos. Sometimes I can answer them right away for you, because I am dedicated to helping this sport grow. But if you have some questions, make sure that you put them either, you can send them to me at cj@betterpickleball.com. You can put them in the comments of any video. I watch the comments of the video and I try and respond to those. And sometimes I just take those and, like I said, I turn them into videos. And other times I call and or I do a video on them. But I don't see any more questions. I don't want to take any more of your time today. You have absolutely been awesome. Don't forget, be looking for a live rules question coming up very, very shortly, and hopefully more videos coming your way. Until that time, you know what I love to say. Together we can train smart, live bold, and age well. I hope to see you out on the pickleball court very, very soon. Have a great night, everybody.